Hello, hello, friends. It is time once again for the Cloud Show. Today, of course, as always, we have a guest star on the show. It's going to be Mark Brown from the Cosmos DB team. And he's going to show some stuff, technical stuff, and show some demos and things. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about a very, very burning topic. It's going to be about how do we actually go about building these fancy AI-enabled applications that everybody is talking about? How do we do that? Well, we're going to find out today on the Cloud Show. Hello, Mark Brown.
Magnus, how are you, sir?
Very, very good. It's so nice to see you. We don't get to see each other often enough.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, now you're back up in Seattle, though, and I'm going to assume you're going to be around for the MVP Summit in March.
I will be at MVP Summit in March, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of my friends and the community back up here. Well, not all of them, but as many of them as possible.
Yep.
Back up here. And then also, at Build too in May. So if you can't make Summit, come up to Seattle for Build.
Well, we'll see about that, but I definitely bought airline tickets for the MVP Summit immediately when it was announced. I was like, I'm going.
This is what I think. Even if you can't get in, just come anyway, right? So
absolutely. All right, brilliant. So let's get on with the show in terms of talking about this hot new thing that everybody's supposed to do. You had an application before. Now you're going to have that application except with AI. So clearly, we're going to have to go about figuring out how to AI enable, AI empower our application. So how do we do that, Mark?
Yeah, so, it's been just a little over a year. It was November last year when kind of ChatGPT kind of hit the scene and just exploded in the matter of days, it feels like. And it's been over a year now. That was November last year when that first happened. I know for me personally, I spent pretty much all of Christmas break, all of my Christmas holidays, thinking about this and messing with it and going through all kinds of thoughts about, how could this change what we're doing, both as people, as developers, certainly for our business and our database for Cosmos. And a lot has happened over the last year. And we've built a lot of content and we've done a lot of engineering and customers are using Cosmos to go and build these AI-enabled applications. And I want to show you kind of.
So let's first back the tape just slightly. Cosmos DB. Most of the viewers of this show would know exactly what it is, but I understand that Cosmos DB has been kind of growing in popularity of late, which is good for you guys. You're doing the right things clearly. But now, specifically with building AI applications, you are on point with that. There's lots of stuff you can do. So, what's going on with Cosmos DB in terms of how do you use it for AI purposes?
Right. Well, let me show you some slides here, and I can kind of give you a little rundown on all the stuff we're doing around building or enabling customers to build these AI applications within here. So let me get a slide to work here. So there's kind of three main areas, I guess. One is customers, and even before there was generative AI applications, customers were using Cosmos DB to do things like build chat applications, right? And use them for kind of your customer service representative applications. So building and using Cosmos, or building these AI applications and using Cosmos in our NoSQL API to store chat history is something that customers have been doing in increasing numbers, just simply because you need to be able to store all of these chats that are happening between like your customers or your people and these generative AI or these large language models. Secondly, is these large language models are all built around vectors and vectors of data and of text. And a part of building these types of applications, or a key to that, especially if you want to enable and bring your own data into these types of applications is vectorizing your own data that you've got in your transactional or in your databases. And within Cosmos, we have two databases that provide this vector indexing and search capability. We have our MongoDB vCore database API that supports this, as well as our Postgres API as well that implements this PG vector extension within there. We also have really good integration with another service in Azure that provides this native vector search capability, and that's the, well, it used to be Azure Cognitive Search. It's now called Azure AI Search. And customers can very easily connect their Cosmos DB for NoSQL accounts and then ingest that data and vectorize it and ingest it and make it available for searching along with other types of data like files. I mean, search engine, right? So you can put together all these different types of disparate data and then make that all available and surface that within.
So that's the key, right? So first you have some application where you, or in some way data is coming in, you're ingesting it, you're taking it and making it ready so that it can be used for AI purposes. You have to, like, if you want to ask questions to that data and get an answer, it needs to be searchable and so forth.
That's how that works. And that's the whole key with the vector search, is you're doing this thing called a nearest neighbor search, which is essentially you take these text and you generate these vectors, or an array of numbers, if you will, and then you do a vector search or a nearest neighbor search on that. And that's exactly how this type of thing works. That's different than what you would see in a normal query, where you would do like an equality match, where you're saying something equals something, like name equals Magnus or name equals Mark. Or maybe it's a range filter where it's, first letter is greater than N or M, right? So you'd get Mark and Magnus in that result. So this is using numbers and a different type of search, this vector search, to do these types of queries. So we've got two vector-enabled databases available within Cosmos. And then right now we're working on enabling a new type of vector search called DiskANN. And that's going to be available in our NoSQL API. And we're hoping we'll have something available for customers to try this out at Build this year. But DiskANN is very impressive from a performance and recall standpoint. And we're very excited about what's coming down the pipe for customers to go and build these types of applications and do it at Cosmos scale. Now, back onto the chat history end of things, something I want to call out, like, customers have been using Cosmos to go and build chat applications for years now. I mean, this definitely predates the whole dawn of this Chat GPT and generative AI thing. It maybe shouldn't become as a big surprise to you that OpenAI itself is using Cosmos DB to store all of the chat history within that application. In fact, they migrated over to Cosmos DB very soon after they launched in November of last year. And they did so because they knew they were going to experience just unprecedented growth. And in fact, they went from hardly any users to over 100 million daily active users in a period of weeks. Basically, and in fact, this, I guess, is like the fastest growing application in the history of the universe, or at least in the history of our planet.
Technically backed by Cosmos DB.
And backed by Cosmos DB. And I don't know if people know this as well, but Cosmos is also the thing that powers the chat within Teams. And if everybody remembers, that application went through an explosive period of growth 3 years ago when COVID happened. And Teams ran fine for that whole period and went from, I mean, it was already a very large global service, but the size of the footprint of that thing and the scale of it just exploded during that period in early to mid 2020.
Do you know any orders of magnitude numbers in terms of how much it grew during COVID, like relative to how big it was before?
Yeah, I was trying to find the numbers on that. I couldn't recall the exact numbers, but we're talking about petabytes in growth. That happened over a very short period of time, and that was happening globally, right? Like there's Teams users all over the planet. That's a true global scale, cloud scale application. And that thing grew on Cosmos on our backs, basically, for that. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. So,
right, cool. So
not like everybody would need like OpenAI or Team Scale, but if lightning strikes, you've got a database that can scale from very small to just absolutely ginormous, and you can do so very easily. So
how do you do this? In 10 minutes or less.
So let me give you another quick couple of things here. So we announced the GA of our Mongo vCore API at Ignite, and we had a lot of great new things. Most notably, you got a free tier on there now. Be able to migrate from MongoDB, all of the native vector search that's available within there. We also did a lot of great integration with things like LangChain, Semantic Kernel, and Llama Index, and then also integration with Azure OpenAI Studio. And if you got a minute, I'd love to show you a little demo.
So you wouldn't use those words because you're in an official capacity, but I'm going to go ahead and say gateway drug.
Gateway drug.
you just made it free and easy to start using, so that people learn how, and then they will use it.
For sure. I mean, if you want to try, you got to have it for free, right? So I'm going to go. I've got an OpenAI account here, and I've got ChatGPT and Ada 002 models deployed in here. But I'm going to show you just how easy it is. I can go and create a really simple chat app, and I can do it without writing a single line of code. And I can do it all within the portal. So I'm going to open this thing up. I'm going to go into this bring your own data. And that's going to open this chat playground. And then I'll select Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB vCore. I'm going to select my database account. I'll go ahead and put a password in here. And let me click a database. I'm going to create a product retail recommendation chat bot here. So I'm going to select a retail database and ask it to look at my products collection. Let me just select a couple more things here. I got to put in some information on what fields it's going to bring back. I got to select the vector field in here. And then that's it. Once I've got that all set, I can now start asking questions in here inside this chat playground. So a couple other things I need to do in here is, if I'm going to create this chat application, I want to put a system message in there that's going to help define its behavior, right? So I want to create I'm going to create a little character here. I'm going to call him Wheelie, tell him what he's doing. He's an AI assistant. He's there to help find product information. He's friendly and playful, lots of energy. Give him some other details here, like rounding up prices to the nearest dollar and other kinds of stuff. Something else I can do in here too is in this chat playground, I can also enable things like speech to text in here. So if I want to have a little chat playground where I can talk to my friend here, Wheelie, and have it recommend products, I can do that as well. So let's give this a try and see if my little chatbot here is working, and is it grounded to my data?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Mark. Can you recommend some bikes for me?
That's kind of funny. It's thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of latency.
Hello, Mark. Absolutely, I'd be thrilled to recommend some bikes for you. Here are a few options. 1. The Touring 1000 Yellow 54 is a fantastic choice for those who love touring bikes. It's priced at $23.85.
That's pretty cool. I'm guessing you could hear him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So here he is. I'm talking to him. He's talking to me. He's giving me product recommendations. And he's got a friendly, happy attitude here. Like, here to help you. Happy biking, by the way. So this is a very cool experience. I did this, connected it to my data. I didn't write a single line of code. I can also deploy this thing to a new web app out on Azure there. In fact, after I set this up, I can deploy this and get a very simple little experience like this. Or if I want, with just a little bit of tweaking, I can also just fully customize this thing as well. I can, call it the Cosmic Works Bikes Company. Here's my little character called Wheelie right here. I can type in my questions. I can also keep all my chat history, by the way. Guess what this thing is using to store chat history, Magnus?
Cosmos DB?
Yes, it is. It is using Cosmos DB. And guess what? People really love enabling this and using it. This has really taken off just in the last, not even 2 months since we announced this thing. and people are using Cosmos to go and store all of their chat history within here, and then using Azure AI Studio to go and build all this great stuff. So that's what I wanted to show you here with, sorry, let me flip this, with my little demo here. But I just wanted to show you a couple of things on if they want to get started building these kinds of applications. I've got some resources here that maybe just help get them started. So, some things that people are going to want to know when they're building these types of generative AI applications is understanding how to interact with large language models. Obviously with OpenAI, they can do it over REST. There's Python SDKs, there's .NET SDKs. There's lots of ways you can get at it. Understanding things like vectors and what are vectors, how they work, how you store them, how you search them. Important topics around prompt engineering, understanding what things like RAG pattern means and chain of thought and React. Understanding things like chat history is also super important, especially when it comes to how do you apply that in the context of building a RAG pattern application and providing like conversational memory or context to those types of things. How do you summarize, or when do you summarize your conversational history? You can't throw everything at a large language model and say, here, summarize this. You have to either page this or do summaries of summaries. There's all kinds of things and concepts that are important around this. And then lastly, learning these SDKs that are increasingly becoming more popular, things like semantic kernel or LangChain or Llama Index. All of these provide connectivity to OpenAI and also other large language models. They provide a way to orchestrate these types of applications, connect to them, are increasingly helping provide memories and conversation history, all of these things that you need to help build increasingly more complex applications. Some other stuff I wanted to show as well. I've got some great samples that I've been built and working on. Now, these are all built in .NET. So I am a true blue Microsoft guy. I write stuff in C# and I use .NET. So all of these are going to be built in .NET, but we're working on Python Node.js samples for these as well. To build a chat application.
This is a way to get to know the space of this, to understand what we're talking about.
Exactly. So understanding how to build simple chat applications like ChatGPT. This sample I built here just shows you kind of how do you interact with these language models? How do you manage conversational history, chat history, kind of the basics. This is a really easy one to get started with. Fully one-click deploy from GitHub. You can go and clone this and run it, fork it, do whatever you want to with it. Here's just a kind of a easy user interface just to show you how this works within here. I have another one that is built on Mongo vCore, and this shows you how to implement things like RAG patterns. So how do you take your own data, vectorize it, do a vector search on it, and then apply those query results and give that to a large language model like ChatGPT and have it generate answers, just like I was doing there in OpenAI Studio. You can build your own apps to do this.
So I know there's a lot of companies out there that have tons of data. They have all their big, inventories. They have all the details of all their products. Maybe they have possibly a stores of their old chats and the various things that they've had interactions with customers and all the, if they bought this, then they bought that, all that stuff. A lot of companies have this, but they don't necessarily know how to go from there to making their own data available to such a setup as you see here.
Right, and that's the next step is if you companies all have this data, how do you leverage that and apply these generative AI scenarios and these large language models to help do things like product recommendations or just as an example, or nearly anything. I mean, you can use these things to get insights into them. They're extremely powerful, and people are just now understanding how far you can go in leveraging these things and tying these technologies together with their data and getting value out of that. People are using to build, to do analytics or provide insights over data. It's just fascinating how far you can go with this stuff. It all starts with data, of course, and you have to prepare the data and stage it and test it and refine it. You can do some pretty amazing stuff.
And that's pretty cool to think that as we've had all this data capital, right? We've saved all this data forever about our products and our company, and we have all that stuff. This is just a whole new way of deriving real value from that, putting that into service. Like, for example, oh, I need to buy some spare parts, whatnot. Now you don't have to phone a salesperson or a human being. You can actually chat with a database of the whole, product and then say, okay, this little thing is broken. What do I do? And it can actually tell you exactly which piece that is. Those kinds of things are so impressive.
Yep.
So impressive. All right, very good. So I loved all that demo and reference and stuff. We're going to try to put those links out as well to people as we post about this episode. But lots of thanks for being on the show today, Mark. We have learned quite a bit of how to actually get into an AI enabling our data and our business and our application, maybe something like that.
Yep. All starts with data, right? And using Cosmos is a great way to help you get there, and to scale.
Thank you for being on the show today, Mark. It was a treat. And have a good day. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you, Magnus. Thanks everyone.